Welcome back to this third session of the orientation training for the counselors of PGDGM program. We have already discussed the overview of the distance education and the program of PGDGM. We have also discussed how to do the spell planning in a program study center and how the various activities or the various skills are taken up and taught in a medicine department. I would now request Dr. Dhal to discuss how the activities or the various skills are planned and taught in the Department of Orthopedics when the students come in the various spells. And Dr. Dhal?
Yeah. Well, as I had sort of elucidated in the previous session also, as far as orthopedics is concerned, what we find is it's better to do some sort of an integrated teaching for the PGDGM course. And though the spells are there, we do not try to restrict ourselves to the spells. To give you an example, a history taking for one full day would probably be boring not only to the candidate but also to the teacher. So it is always better to, whenever there is a case,
Yeah, we have a call from Pune. Actually, Pune, I think we have the new regional center, sorry, the new program study center. Pune, please come in.
Yeah. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. The program which is going on is very informative.
Okay, thank you.
But some of the aspects which we would like to know are going a little fast.
Okay.
Especially the spells, how they were designed. They were designed in a very well manner. But it was taking time for us to write it down. So we would really like to have the program CD for going through it once again. The second important thing is that teaching aids, that is we have not got yet the materials. One set we had received, but we require at least 5. The other is in medicine 6 days program, the distribution we understood, but how many counselors should be involved in the 6-day program, how long, for how many hours one counselor can take, that we need to know more in details, because in the first spell we had already conducted and it was quite an intensive type of training which we had given them. We took a lot of practical things also, but they also wanted some theory classes regarding, for example, neurology, Alzheimer's disease and Parkinsonism, which they had not understood, especially because many of these students either are practitioners in the field of gynecology or orthopedics, so these terminologies were they wanted to clear from us, so we had to take some of theory classes also. Then how many counselors should be involved per day? I would also like to know the details of payment modes to be made to the counselors, how long each counselor can take for how many hours, how to do the evaluation of those students who have been registered 2 years back. So they have come to me with the assessment, what assessment sheets and had asked for evaluation. So after assessment, where to send it? And these students, the 5 students who are posted with us, they are old students. So that time it was 3 spells of 10 days duration. So they feel that because they have registered for the old course of 3 spells per year, they should be allowed to continue for 3 spells, and they very much want to appear for exam this year. The other thing is that we do not have an SDC for our PSC. So they don't polish the skills before coming to us. So we had to, like 8 hours stretch was exceeded, and we took almost 12 hours every day. They were very enthusiastic. They used to come early in the morning and stay in the wards till late. So we tried to cover it up, but we really want an SDC center for our PSC. And whom to send the progress, how to evaluate their sheets, and how to go about the assessment, how to maintain records. We really want a help from you on these regards also. Thank you very much. Please listen to Dr. Mrs. Kakrani. She would like to tell you the PSM problems.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Hello, Dr.
I'm Dr. Kakrani from PSM, as a PSM counselor.
Yeah.
I would like to know, in the first spell, the learner has to do home assessment. Is it by distributing the families actually in the community, or is it in the hospital that they can learn the home and by history taking? Then I would like to know, in the second spell, what is expected in the group discussion or health counseling? Please tell us in detail about that. And third thing I wanted to know is there a project which is to be done by each learner under PGDGM, a small project which is there in other courses also? So that I would like to know. And fourthly, I would say that in my opinion, theory counseling is needed for them because they just do not read on their own. So when they come with the modules, they ask for explanation for some of the things. So it will be better that we have theory counseling so that they are explained and they get clarification of the various problems. And we would like to have one set of all the modules to each counselor so that we already have the books with us so that we can explain to them.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Kakrani. Yeah, we will be taking up the questions one by one. So, Dr. Dhal, we'll take the questions and then maybe we can take your presentation. Okay, so as far as the theory counseling, I'll take it up because both of you have considered the theory counseling. We also are taking feedback from the other counselors and the programs study centers that whether theory counseling is required, and we may be incorporating it in the next revision that we will be taking, maybe the next batch or the subsequent batch to that we will be taking the theory counseling. But we have to be very clear that theory counseling is not lecturing. Theory counseling is only clarification of the doubts. The students are expected to read on their own whatever doubts arise out of the subject. They are supposed to discuss that in the theory counseling. So that is one thing that has to be made clear even when we make theory counseling compulsory or when we incorporate it into the session. Now, as far as the SDC problem is concerned, the SDC, as we have already shown, we will be discussing SDC more in detail in the afternoon session. SDC is basically a district hospital which has got a department of medicine in which there are MD medicine specialists in that hospital, and we have got a ward for medicine so that the patients are available, and a significant number of geriatric patients should be attending the hospital. We should have a good patient load of the hospital. Now, it is not necessary that it is only the program in charge or the regional director who will look for SDCs. It is also the students who can search for SDCs when it is nearer to their workplace, because as far as Pune is concerned, there may be many students who are from Mumbai. So the SDC may not be located in Pune, it could be located in Mumbai itself also. And so this activity, this exercise can be done by the regional consultant also. You have a regional consultant in Pune and they can identify the district hospitals where the counselors are ready for the training. Then an approval will need to be taken. The approval can be facilitated by the regional consultant who goes and has a dialogue with the medical superintendent there. Also, the regional director can intervene and help by talking to the DHS or the DME over there, so that a blanket approval can be given as has been given for the rest of the states. I am not aware about Mumbai whether such a blanket approval has been taken that any district hospital can be used as an SDC. So it will not be very difficult once we start searching, and since you are all there in the regional center, you can have a discussion as to how to go about searching for the SDC, and then the SDCs are not fixed for a particular center. You may have few SDCs in this year, and next year you can have few more SDCs depending upon the address of the students. Now, as far as the students who are 2 years back, the students who have been coming to you, they will be evaluated as per their logbook. The skills which have been listed in their logbook, they have to be seen that the total number of skills are completed and they get it countersigned. The evaluation, as has been mentioned, the assignments evaluation has to be sent to the regional director. A copy has to be sent to me, that is the program coordinator, and then as far as the practical examination of the internal assessment is concerned, the same thing, it has to be sent to the regional director and a copy has to be sent to the program coordinator. As far as the spells is concerned, I think Dr. Jaina, I would request him to, he can give his views on how many hours a counselor can take and how many counselors per day can be this thing. You can maybe take up those. Okay.
I think rest of the questions we'll cover as and when we have sessions. Actually, we have another 4 or 5 hours. So we'll be covering the administrative aspect, finance aspect,
Yeah,
even
finance will be taking
even
later,
the-
but I think
yeah.
spells you can, how many
Uh,
hours of counselors we can
Yeah,
finish
details
here.
I think after the orthopedics presentation, then
Okay.
we can take up those issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Dhal, I would
Okay.
like to.
So as I was telling you that in orthopedics we find that having a session completely dedicated to history taking may not be what is desirable. So we believe in integrated teaching. We cover all aspects of the patient at hand, be it history taking, be it physical examination, be it his investigations like the X-rays, CT scans, the MRI scans
Slide.
can be discussed simultaneously, and thereafter the management of the patient can be discussed. However, since it is just a 5-day program devoted to orthopedics, I think this sort of a teaching is much more informative to the patient, to the students, rather than binding them in spells. So I'll take you around with what we are doing at our institution. To give you an idea, the examination, the final examination which you are supposed to pass involves a long case, a short case, viva stations like X-rays, instruments and implants, anatomy, bones, and certain questions on various physiotherapy and occupational therapy modalities like exercises have to be sort of given to you for the examination. So to be proficient enough to pass the examination, the course content is designed around these areas. The various sessions which we put the candidates through are OPD sessions, ward rounds, group discussions, a visit to the physiotherapy and occupational therapy center of our department, and obviously some part of the training also needs to be in the plaster room, because orthopedics without plaster one cannot imagine even in the modern day scenario. So I'll briefly take you around these sessions and tell you what we do in the OPD. So first, if a counselor is available in the OPD on that particular day, he would demonstrate the cases, geriatric cases presenting to the OPD on that particular day, and these are just for the sake of description. Basically, geriatric cases are divided into 3 large categories. Infective. These patients, especially the ones who are diabetic, may be more prone to various types of infections, and tuberculosis of the osteoarticular area is very common in these patients. These patients are also prone to problems like diabetic foot. So this covers, so infective group is an important area for geriatric patients. However, a large chunk of the patients coming to the OPD are of the degenerative variety, and if anybody visits the orthopedic OPD in the Lok Nayak Hospital where I am working, majority of the geriatric patients would be either complaining of knee pain or shoulder stiffness or backache, low backache. So cervical and lumbar spondylosis, osteoarthritis of the knee, and periarthritis of the shoulder or stiff shoulder, they are a very important component of the degenerative variety of geriatric patients coming to these OPDs. A small number of patients would also be having certain neoplastic problems, and the commonest among these is secondaries. So secondary disease from primary either in the thyroid, breast, bronchus, kidney. These are the various areas which metastasize to the bone. So, and of course in male patients the prostatic secondaries are also encountered. And apart from this, the diagnosis of multiple myeloma also needs to be considered in these patients. So these are the types of patients who usually present in the orthopedics OPD, and these are demonstrated to the candidate whenever these are available. On another day or in another spell, the candidate may be taken on a ward round, and in the ward round there is a phenomenal amount of information which can be transmitted to the candidate by the counselor. There are various patients, geriatric patients, who are on different types of tractions, different splints like the Thomas's splint, the Bowler-Braun splint, can be demonstrated in actual use, and that makes all the difference. Showing a splint offhand may not be that informative, but if a splint has been applied on a particular patient, then the various indications for its use, the complications which can accrue out of it can also be discussed and can be demonstrated to the candidate then and there. Certain special braces are recommended for the geriatric age group, like, to give you an example, a Taylor's brace may be indicated for an osteoporotic fracture of the dorsal lumbar spine. And of course, walking aids, frame walkers, crutches, walking sticks, these are some of the walking aids which are easily demonstrated on patients while on ward rounds. Patients who are admitted to the orthopedic wards, the geriatric patients, again, certain patients may be there with spinal problems, especially infective problems like tuberculosis of the spine. Secondary disease of the spine, and of course policies which very
ग्राम So this is not, I think it is
very place. But that five counts can
not agreement
I'll now The fourth and the